Is off-grid living on Caye Caulker right for you? In this video, we're going to be interviewing a couple that bought a property off-grid on Caye Caulker. They're now developing 5 luxury condos on that property. But this does require solar panels, a water catchment, lithium batteries. We're going to find out exactly how long these solar panels last, how much it costs to purchase these solar panels, how much electricity it provides, and is this option financially feasible for you, and can you handle this lifestyle? Let's get into it.
Off-grid living, and what I'm going to say, off-grid living here in Caye Caulker. What is off-grid living? So I originally looked at buying property in Puerto Vallarta, and I was afraid that it was an off-grid property because I'm American. I'm used to the things that I like. I like my air conditioning. I don't like to work a lot if I'm on vacation, if I'm renting, because renters do not know the intricacies. It's bad enough for them to make sure that they're not flushing toilet paper down the toilet, yet having to deal with how do we survive with solar, or how do we survive on a cistern. So let's talk about a little bit about off-grid living. I will honestly admit I didn't know how we were going to do it here originally in Caye Caulker, because when we bought this property, that was kind of a drawback. Really quickly did we realize it was something positive. What are the drawbacks? Cost. The initial investment of off-grid living is the only drawback that you have. So let me tell you why. Okay, so we'll start with electricity. Okay, we're creating a source from nature. Okay, and I like green, but I am no means a green type person. Okay, if I can support the environment, I absolutely will. But I'm also realistic of my convenience and what I'm used to. Call that a drawback of mine. But let's talk about investment, okay? We spent about $40,000 USD on a solar system and lithium batteries. What that has provided us is guaranteed at least 10 years of a no electric bill. What does that provide? It provides our air conditioning units, our lights, our security for our solar, our camera systems, our internet, our water pumps, TVs, etc. We don't consume a lot on the TV except maybe a Netflix to put us to bed at night. But what we don't have is a monthly bill. And what I have seen here on the island in New Year's Eve about 3 years ago, what happened? The water went out.
And the electricity.
And the electricity on the island.
For 3 days.
Okay. What they actually found out was everybody that was, quote, off-grid, and we're really not off-grid, they had the power, they had the water. So the community was actually borrowing from the off-grid people because we had an abundance amount of water. So let's talk about the water. The water we do is we collect our water in a cistern. We take all of our roof water that we can get, we put it through filtration systems and put it in tanks, and then we get our water pump to go ahead and suck that out. Currently right now at my own existing house in our condos, I have approximately 12,000 gallons of water underneath me right now. I have a 2,000 gallon black tank. That's what I mainly use for watering, topping off the pool. And then underneath our 2 condos, we have 2 16,000 gallon water tanks, which is another 32,000 gallons. Okay, that's free water. What does it cost us to filter? We just have to do some maintenance to our filtration bags. We keep it out of the sunlight so it doesn't grow algae. We add a bottle of Clorox once a month. But remember, it can be used for drinking water through an additional filtration system. But what we really use this for is showering, toilets, sinks, that type of stuff. It's very easy and convenient that I'll pick up the phone and I'll call the local grocery store and say, hey, would you guys deliver 10 gallons of drinking water for us? Where I don't even leave my house, I WhatsApp them, and at my doorstep will be 10 gallons of drinking water for us. So it's very simple and convenient. Do you even ever need to leave your compound if that's what you want? You don't. If for some reason, now we're in a construction process and we're going through thousands of gallons of water every day as far as for concrete mixing. So we will get a water delivery truck back here to top off our cisterns if we need them. Currently, we're about ready to pour 130 yards of concrete. We need about 4,000 gallons of fresh water because we can't use seawater for that purpose. So, you know, we just had a tanker come out and pre-deliver that water. Let's talk about costs. It costs on that type of delivery costs about 10 cents a gallon, okay? So most of us back in the States are used to about a penny a gallon. So off-grid living is a little bit more expensive. Is it really off-grid living? So let's talk about the finances. So I pay 0 electric bill. If I'm not doing construction, I pay 0 water bill. Is there maintenance to both of the systems? I've had to do very little to my off-grid solar system. My water system, I dump a gallon of Clorox in my cisterns once a month. That just keeps it fresh. Internet. Okay, my internet bill is $55 a month. I get high-speed internet. Anybody that wants to relocate down here and has that ability, God bless you, because I wish I had a job that did that. I could be sitting here looking at the ocean and being off-grid, and it only costs me $55 a month. Insurance basically costs us $1,000 a year, so you figure that's $100 a month. And that's for the full graded hurricane insurance. Septic. They're all like a standard septic system with a soak-away. We don't pay a sewer bill. It's all on site. There are regulations how far away your cistern has to sit back from your septic tanks. Both of our we have 2 septic tanks on our property and soak-aways, one for the condos and one for our initial cabana house. So that's $0. So let's add all this up. If we take and divide what we invested, so we had relatively $20,000 in the septic tanks and cistern and $40,000, so we have $60,000. Let me divide that. Life expectancy of septic tank and cistern are probably 20 years minus, you figure $1,000 in maintenance over that 20-year period. That's very little money. So is off-grid living too bad? Absolutely not, because the price of electricity here on the island is a little bit more expensive, especially if you're running the ACs. So what most people do is if you are a renter and rent to tenants, they will have meters in there to go ahead and focus whether there's movement in there, and they'll have a 1-hour shut off, because remember, what's the big consumer of electric is your AC units, any heating elements. Now, that's another item. How do we do our cooking here in Caye Caulker? Most of it is propane gas, okay? It's a butyl propane. We use that for our instant hot water heaters, and we also use that for our stoves. 150-pound container generally lasts a family at least over a month. Propane is very reasonable here on the island, so consumption of propane is very nominal. So off-grid living, I set ourselves up. We have the power lines right next to our property getting installed now. Will we hook up to the power grid? Absolutely. But are we going to save ourselves money by creating our own energy? I don't consider that as much off-grid as being frugal and responsible. You know, we're doing that back in the States finally. The difference is, back in the States versus here, I'm from Pennsylvania, off-grid living doesn't make really good sense to us, but here it definitely does, because the sun is always shining. It takes me 3 days of cloudy skies to finally drain my 10 lithium batteries. If I know it's going to be overcast and cloudy, which is very rare for Caye Caulker, but if you do know that, then you might want to slightly conserve. Okay, let's talk about the backup safety emergency. What is the worst case scenario that you're going to have to do? Okay, you run a generator. A small little Honda 2000 generator is what we use here, and that will trickle charge your batteries and keep up with all the necessary items. And that is if you want to. Is off-grid living bad? Is it somewhat skeptical? It's actually probably one of the best investments that we can make. I know here in Pennsylvania, our electric bills have doubled. Okay, they're still less expensive than what it is here on Caye Caulker. Financial sense is, whether you're on grid or off grid, really think about trying to conserve water and electricity, and it's very reasonable to do that, and will save your long-term. It's a long-term investment. You know, if you just want to build a place quick and have electricity and then have a higher monthly bill, join the grid. But you're going to get a better return on investment and an extra level of safety, which I never thought of it being that way for off-grid living. But being able to have backup water, backup electricity has been a benefit that I never realized since moving here to Caye Caulker.
Thank you so much, Jim and Sherry, for sharing that information with me. I feel like it's very insightful for the audience when deciding whether to buy a property that's located off-grid or inside the village where they can connect to the power. This conversation has alleviated a lot of the fears and questions that they might have, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to make this video with me and to share this information with the potential buyers and with the people looking to move here to the island. So thank you guys.
Yeah, welcome someday.
Yeah, welcome. You know, to all the new owners of South Beach condos. Hi guys, we look forward to meeting you all. Bye.